This is Off the Cuff radio program with me, Hermit, Hachilonde. Today on the program we feature Movement for Patriotic Democracy MMD President Dr. Mumba. To begin with, I would like to welcome you to Off the Cuff radio program, and may I hasten to mention that it is a pleasure to have you on this edition of the program.
Thank you so much, Hermit. I'm very, very glad to appear on your radio today, and I look forward to an engaging program, and I look forward to a very, very good interaction between yourself and myself, and also the audience that is joining us right now.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. President. Before we delve into the major thrust of this conversation, tell us about yourself. Who is Nevers Mumba, the clergyman, and Dr. Nevers Mumba, the politician? What is your education and professional background, and when were you born and where?
That's a loaded question. Well, basically, my name is Nevers Mumba, as you have rightly put it. I hail from the northern province of this country, to be more specific, Chinsali. In Muchinga province now. I come from a family of 12. I'm the 11th born. And so you understand that I grew up making sure that I survive. I mean, if a family is that big, you've got to make sure you survive. It's like a jungle. So my father was a teacher by profession. He ended up being a district secretary for Chinsali during those unique days. And my mother was basically a housewife. Both of them are late, great parents who brought us in the fear of God. Yes, my first point of call, of course, I went to Hillcrest Technical Secondary School for my secondary education. Upon graduation, I enrolled to study instrumentation on the Copper Belt at Copper Belt Power Company. It was at that point, somewhere along the way, that I felt a call to preach, and an arrangement was made where I ended up being accepted at Christ for the Nations Institute in Dallas, Texas in 1982. I studied there until 1984, came back with an associate theology practical degree from Christ for the Nations, and established the Victory Ministries from scratch, and it ended up being an international organization with branches in many parts of the world. And currently in Zambia we do have 52 churches, Victory Bible churches. We started the first indigenous Bible college in Kitwe called the Victory Institute of Biblical Studies, and started the first interdenominational international conference in Lusaka called the Victory International Conference. Got on television and introduced for the first time from evangelicals the television programming of Christian ministry. And so that really, from the church point of view, the Lord allowed us to build a ministry that touched many lives, not just in this country, but it continues to touch lives all over the world. I've sent many students, and graduates are all over the world preaching the gospel, and I'm proud of each one of them. In politics, we started off by getting very, very concerned, of course, by the lack of morality and integrity in politics. And my goal was to ensure that we find a way in which to inject morality and integrity in politics. That is when we started the National Christian Coalition, which later on became the National Citizens Coalition Party. And that is how I entered into the political arena. And I did not enter into the political arena to abandon church like some of our critics say. I joined the political arena in order to take the values of God into politics. And I'm very, very happy that today, 17 years later, the Zambian politics now discuss matters of integrity and morality, which were never discussed prior to that. So I'm grateful that our message is being received, and people are now checking their conscience in how they handle public affairs. So basically, that's who I am. I'm currently in politics, now the president of the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy.
Dr. Mumba, I remember following you by television during the Zambia Shall Be Saved telecast as a brimstone and firebrand preacher. Did you envision yourself becoming president of Zambia by joining politics and ultimately save Zambia from social, political and economic ills? What exactly went through your mind when Zambia Shall Be Saved theme was mooted?
Hermit, I think what is important is to mention reality of life. If God would tell you everything that would happen in your life, you'd either ask God to take you home now, kill you, or you become stressed and distressed, or you just become so excited that you don't do anything, just waiting for that thing to happen. The way God works, He doesn't tell you what at the end of the day he's going to do with what he has laid on your heart. By the time I was coining my vision and theme that Zambia shall be saved, I had no understanding as to the extent of that declaration. It's only now that I've realized that whenever I said Zambia shall be saved, it's actually a declaration of war. It's a declaration of fact. It's not a question, will Zambia be saved? Can Zambia be saved? It was a fact that I was stating, and I'm still stating, that Zambia shall be saved. It's only now that I see that this involves the salvation and the healing of the entire nation, meaning that the judicial system of our country is going to have a witness of Christ. The executive wing of government is going to have the witness of Christ. The legislature part of our government is going to have the witness of God. In other words, truly speaking, I consider myself as a missionary to the political world. That's what the Bible says in Matthew 5 and verse 5. You are the light of the world, and you are set up on a hill so that all can see. And I think that my participation in the political process is not to do politics as usual. The way, that is why some people would say Nevers is not a politician, he doesn't know how to do politics. It's because I have not come into this thing to do the politics that are being done today. I've actually come to find a way to change the way these politics have been done. And after playing my role, by God's grace, and giving an opportunity to lead this country, by the time I leave the presidency of this country, the challenge will be that would change the way politics is done, and people will have to look at themselves if they really want to run for president. And I think that our goal is to bring the fear of God in the management of human affairs.
Some people think Dr. Mumba is not as vibrant politically as he was as a clergyman. What has changed? Do you sometimes entertain the thought of quitting politics, especially the Zambian politics, where mudslinging, character assassination, name-calling, the order of the day, and fully devote your time to the pulpit?
You see, life is a cycle. Life is a cycle. The statement of saying Nevers is not as vibrant in politics as he was in church. When I started to preach, they used to say Nevers is not vibrant. I was not even considered as one of those who could really end up with a worldwide ministry. Coming into politics, a totally new ballgame. When I came back from Canada and I was asked if I could run for the presidency of MMD, people ticked me off. They said Nevers cannot win this presidency. It's not cut out for him. When the votes were counted after 6 months, not only did I win, but I had a landslide victory as president of MMD. So it's not a question of people wanting me to do politics the way they want me to do politics. I think the way I'm proceeding is a way of being responsible for the statements I make, that I'm not going to be throwing statements all over the place so that people can say Nevers talks a lot. You know, there are people that say, no, Nevers is not talking as loud as the other politicians, so politically we're not doing well. Well, Nevers has not done this, or he has lost this election, so we're not going to win the big award. No, it's a steady walk. It's a focused walk. And I think that I am feeling extremely encouraged at the prospects that lie ahead of us. Leading MMD is a huge political party. As a leader, you need to be accommodating, but you need to be firm. You need to clarify where you want to take the people. And all this put together, you have to constantly deal with those who rise up against you because maybe they don't believe you are the right tribe. And, you know, we have had that in our party where some people believe that a certain tribe should not govern again. There are those who believe that a pastor should not be allowed to become president of this country. So people have different slants of why they fight the leader. But my goal is to remain focused, to accept that the majority of the membership of our party voted for me. I'm the same Nevers. I have not changed. The same one that they saw that time is the same one now. The circumstances could have changed, but we are committed to ensuring that we deliver on the promises that we made, that MMD shall come back into government, and that is my responsibility at this time.
There are others who would say you are playing double standard. They know he is a man of God and a politician. How do you really manage to serve two masters, if I may put it in that way?
There's only one master, and the master is God. I don't think that human beings or Zambians belong to the devil, and only church people belong to God. So I should only serve church people and not the other people. There's only one God that I serve. The same God who wants me to make sure that I am fair in the way that I deal with every Zambian, whether he's a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, doesn't go to church. as God gives me an opportunity to govern this country, God wants justice, fairness for all. Just like God himself rules over the good and the bad, and he allows rain to fall on both the good and the bad. That's the type of leadership God wants. And I can assure you, God giving us an opportunity to govern this country, my first point of call is justice for all. Respect of human rights, respect of our differences. That tribe should never divide us. Color should never divide us. If this country is going to be great, we have to acknowledge the greatness that is in all Zambians. Some of them belong to a tribe, I don't know, but God loves them, and their potential must be contributed to the overall well-being of our country. So I think that there are no two masters here. There's only one master, and that's God. Every morning I get up to pray for my country. I pray for my nation. I pray for Zambians. I pray for the prosperity of this country. I don't pray to a separate God or a separate master. I pray to the same God who called me to serve my colleagues and my people in this country, or as I serve the people in the church. I think that there's absolutely no difference in serving God. He can ask you to do anything.
Let's now shift our focus to the current happenings. Recently, former MMD spokesperson Dora Syria, on this very platform, observed and charged that the former ruling party is dead under your leadership. Also, your party additionally performed in the just ended Mangango by-elections. Despite the fact that it was your seat, is the MMD dead or in a moribund state? Who is responsible for this poor performance?
Firstly, let me start with my sister Dora. I would like my memories of Dora to remain at the level that I will always remain grateful that she chose to support my presidency. I think that's a positive step, and I'm glad at what she said when she decided to support me. She said she was doing that on the basis of principle, and I'm truly grateful for that. As with things that she has said after this, I think that's her opinion, and as president of the party, I think that the only advice I'll give to all members of our party, senior members of our party, is that we are going to by-elections. And, let's just be careful how we choose words to use on ourselves as a party, that we speak life to ourselves and not death. Because if you constantly speak death to yourself, you will constantly die. That is why you never hear me speak death to myself or to my family or to my political party or to my nation. My vision in the new politics I want to bring is to always speak life. Even when there's death, when I find it, death has to disappear and life has to come. So the very fact that we are in MMD, while others will continue to speak death, I'll continue to speak life. And there will be no death in MMD. But again, that's her opinion. And she holds the right to give her own opinion. But I have nothing against Dora. I have great memories of her support, and I would like that to be the only thing left in my mind at the moment. Concerning Mangango, a few things that I need to put on record. Firstly, I would like to, as I've always done, take my share of responsibility and blame for the loss. I'm the president, so I'm not one of those who goes around blaming everybody else and leaving myself out. Just like all my friends in the party must take blame, part of the blame, for what happened in Mangango. For instance, there is no political party that can win elections if only one or two people go there to campaign. My colleagues in Western Province, the members of parliament for Western Province, except for Honorable Ndalame and Honorable Ngwangwa who went there, the rest of them have to take part of the blame. It's the province where they come from, and the best we can expect from them is to participate in helping us win that seat. But putting all that aside, I think that we sent a team prior to the election to assess what was on the ground, and we found out what was on the ground, that our structures had been highly compromised, obviously by many people who had been sponsored by our opponents. And we had a member of parliament there who was a deputy minister, and literally confused our structures, who didn't know whether they were MMD or Patriotic Front. Because whenever he went back there, he was singing the Patriotic Front song because he wanted to keep his job. At the same time, our members wanted to hold on to their party. So when we went there and the report was brought back, I knew we were not going to win that seat because the structures had been destroyed by our colleague who was a member of parliament there. And so I recommended to the National Executive Committee, to the Politburo, that we should go ahead and participate in order for us to revive our structures. And truly, to our word, we found out that our structures, like I've said, were not strong enough. But we went ahead and participated. It is as a result of the fact that we participated and we saw what we saw that recommendation has been made to the National Secretary that immediate disciplinary action be taken under a reorganization. That is, I had a press conference on the 21st of this month in which I announced categorically that in order for the party to move forward, we needed to do a new thing, which is a mass reorganization of the party, which is not going to target any particular individual, but I am committed to start from scratch to ensure that our party is revamped. And I've given instructions to the National Secretary to put in place a program to ensure that our party comes back to life. I've also, comes back to what it must be in order for us to continue winning the contests. I am at a point where we have received information that I've already alluded to of the state of the province in Western Province. The National Secretary will be making an announcement as to the disciplinary action that is going to be taken to at the provincial level, at district level, and at constituency level. And I think that this will be a sign of where we are going. And if we find that a particular structure is not performing, the National Secretary has got power to either dissolve or expel, suspend those members who have become part of the destabilization process in our party. So, one word about Bangango. We have gone through this process. I have never been stopped by a temporal defeat. I would like to ask all our members nationwide to focus. Mangango is not Zambia. Mangango is just Mangango. And we can only learn from those lessons. There's a bigger country. There are 150 constituencies in this country. And we may not have performed well today, but it doesn't mean we won't perform well tomorrow. We have 5 more by-elections, and I'm confident we'll do well in the next set of elections. That's just the way this game plays. You're a footballer, you're Zambia against Ghana, you lose. You play against Cote d'Ivoire, you lose. You can't stay. You gotta keep going until you become Africa champions. And that's really what it's all about, and that's the inspiration I want to give to all my members nationwide, that we are committed to finishing this race and committed to finishing it on top. And so I don't think that temporal loss should worry anybody. Neither does it indicate that when a general election comes, we are not going to win it, because like I've said, that's just Mangango. Not too long ago, Hermit, we were in Mukaika, where there was a by-election there, and MMD beat PF by 9,000 to 1,000. Now, that was a big beating for a ruling party, with choppers, with planes that were landing there. They had cash that they brought in, but even with all that, MMD had a clear victory. But the good news is that PF never gave up. They continued believing one day they're going to deal with us in the return match. And we just had a return match where they whether they won it rightly or wrongly, because I don't even know where those votes came from, because nobody on the ground wanted PF. So I think that it is important for the party to keep going forward, to know that these are not the only losses we're going to record. As we go towards the election, we'll record more losses. But if every loss comes and we want to begin a fight, then we're not a team. And so I think that what we have experienced can only teach us for the future. I also want to confirm that there is no one who can campaign alone in a huge party like MMD. Our friends, the PF, came with so many ministers. The Mwali Tetas, Nonge Wina, Honorable Masevo, Winter Kavimba, Guy Scott, everyone was in Mangango. We had a situation in MMD. We are used to being in government, and we want everything provided for us before we move into an area. Like we're in government. So some people would not show up, but they want you to win it alone. And if you don't win and they were not there, they're the first ones to say, you know, the president has failed. But at least the president was there representing you. But where were you? These are the issues that allow you to see that some people don't mean well. They hold back so that they can have a reason to complain that the president is failing. Nobody can win an election alone. And that's not the way MMD is structured. MMD is a democratic party. Every person contributes to its success or to its failure. The president only chairs this organization for a period of 5 years, then he contests again if given another chance, another 5 years. After that, another president comes. That's the way MMD has operated. And so, if the blame is put on the president, then somebody lacks the understanding that we are a unit that works hand in hand in order to achieve what needs to be achieved.
I don't know if I got you clearly. You said you knew that you're going to lose in Mangango, and you went ahead so that you can restore your party structures. Do you think it is the best way to restore your party structures by participating in by-elections? Of
course. It's like, you know, you lost in Ghana as the Zambian team, and you say, no, we are not going to participate in the next few games because we lost until we reorganize ourselves in the practices. No, you don't do that. You continue with the issue of practicing, and when the other game comes, you go and play. And because it's only by engaging in the reason why we exist, and in this case is to contest elections, that you can notice your mistakes and your weaknesses. So basically, I think that the best way to test your structures, win or lose, is to participate in the electoral processes.
Still on your party, I've noticed that with the MMD, there's this tendency of intra-party squabbles, and it's something that has been happening for some time now. What's wrong with the MMD party?
Nothing is wrong with the MMD party, just like there's nothing wrong with families where the husband and wife always, you know, at each other's throat for some time until they resolve an issue. Look, Hermit, what we have now is, in fact, it's a miracle that MMD is standing today. It's a pure miracle. The party in 2011, in September when we lost, the party almost scattered with people going in every direction. The Chitenges for MMD were not visible on the streets anymore. The hour sign was no longer seen on the fingers of people. There was no chwe going on in this country. People's houses were burnt. Our members' houses were burnt. Bicycles were retrieved by PF. All our vehicles were taken by the PF. There was fear that was instituted into the party, and it was a terrible development for the party. Our president at that time, President Rupia Banda, stepped down. We had no president. It was a dark hour. PF came and took, it was now like a place where you come and get carcasses. PF came and took our MPs, made them deputy ministers, made some of them resign to join them. Other opposition parties also went for the prey to get as many as they could to take this carcass and finish it. It was a bad picture. By the time I took over the presidency of this party, the responsibility was to reconcile the fragmented interests of the hundreds of thousands of our members across this country, disoriented by the loss, different expectations that never, when it comes, will do a miracle that Jesus did of turning water into wine within a second. But they realize that this is a long-haul reorganization. It will need for all of us to work together. Unfortunately, some of our colleagues, from the day I was elected president, decided to find a way in which they could fight the president, not knowing that if you attack the president of a party, then you immediately bring destabilization to the party. The Bible says when you hit the shepherd, the sheep scatter. I am just grateful to God and to all the members of our party across this country for how resiliently they stood to support the party and to make sure that the party was not divided. So I took it up when it was extremely weak and people did not even know whether Zambians wanted to hear the name MMD again. And anytime you mention MMD, people said, oh, no, we don't want that. That's over. They have done this to us. But now it's not the same. MMD is, yes, there's still some people who feel that MMD is still the same old MMD they threw out of power. But there are other people now, many people now realize that MMD was actually better. MMD has done well to reorganize itself. Some people have said Nevers has failed to manage this party. It depends on what they mean by failing. I think that one thing people should realize is that, unlike UNIP, by God's grace, we have managed to harness this party at this point. If you remember, when President Chiluba became president, later on, almost 60 people, prominent people, left MMD. And people thought that is the end of MMD. But MMD marched on, because it's a mass movement. When President Mwanawasa became president, many people left the party because they were not used to having a new president. When President Rupia Banda came in, many people, names that you know, left and formed their own political parties. This is my second year as president of MMD, going into my third year. Yes, we have had fights, difficulties by some people who, some of them purely sponsored by our opponents, which is the politics of Zambia and Africa, unfortunately. But we are still standing. We are still standing, which is the greatest miracle that Zambians should know. So when they say Nevers is a weak leader, maybe they're coming short to say that by God's grace, he has worked so hard together with the National Executive Committee and all members of our party to hold this party together. And you know, Hermit, the beauty of this is that we are holding democracy alive in this country. You can say all you want about MMD, but if MMD was to disappear and other opposition parties disappeared, then you are going to miss the role we are playing. You don't know what you've got until you lose it. The good news is you are not going to lose MMD. MMD is strong, it's here to stay, and once it stays, it's here to form government. I'm very confident, and that is why I'm still president of this party.
Where is the confidence coming from? The
confidence is coming from the fact that, number one, the movement for multi-party democracy has suffered more assault and more attacks since its loss than any political party in this country. Its president, Nevers Mumba, has been subjected to arrests, prisons, courts. Even this week I'm in court in order to stop us. Like I've said, members of parliament were stolen, given jobs to neutralize our party. Mr. Ndeleke and the registrar at that time wanted to deregister the party, said if you don't give me 400 million within 21 days, it will be deregistered. And I just become president. And by God's grace, we raised the 400 million and paid and saved the party. When they failed to deregister us, they looked at other things. So there is no political party that has been so attacked consistently from both outside and inside like MMD, and it has happened under my watch. And the way other people look at it and say that Nevers Mumba has failed, to me, I said to God, thank you for believing that I can be president of this party at the most critical time of it being in the intensive care unit. This is where it was. It's no longer there. We're out of there. And so the confidence comes from the fact that we have survived all these fights, we have survived all these assaults, and we're still standing. And I'm very confident that the best is yet to come.
What do you think has happened to the Zambian people in terms of perception of political leadership? There seems to be a general feeling that men of the cloth are not fit for political office. What do you suppose causes this way of looking at issues?
It's lack of information, lack of understanding. The question you have to answer is, who is better placed to lead a nation? An ungodly man or a godly man? Who qualifies? Somebody who loves God and somebody who doesn't care about God. These are basic questions.
Okay.
They have to answer certain scriptural positions. For instance, the Bible says, when the righteous rule, people rejoice. When the unrighteous rule, people mourn. The question I have is that, is it okay that though politics is only for those who don't know God, so that they can bring their injustice, their corruption, the evil ways of mistreating each other? Or should you call on those that feel the conscience that God is watching them over every decision they make? And so for me, that is just lack of information on the part of those that say a Christian or a man of God cannot be involved in the political process. There's nowhere in the scriptures where it says I cannot be involved. As a matter of fact, there are more scriptures that tell me I have to be involved. That's why Joseph was involved. That's why David was involved. That's why Moses was involved. All these people who loved God, God made them to preside over the affairs of these people. It's a misconception, it's a lack of understanding, and it's because of limited knowledge of scripture that people say that Nevers Mumba, for instance, cannot get involved in the political process.
Okay. Your party was recently embroiled in confusion. Did the confusion have anything to do with the self-cleansing, which may have ruffled some people's feathers? What is the current situation in the MMD?
Firstly, whenever there's a change of leadership, people are going to react differently. Like I've already said, some people would say things have changed, we are no longer in government, but they still expect the same perks and benefits like those who are in government, when we were in government. To go to a by-election, they want the party to buy their fuel, and yet they are driving vehicles that they bought with the resources that were accrued as a result of them serving in the MMD government. And so that is going to take time for people to change. But I think that we have come a long way, and we are no longer where we were like 8 months ago. These were necessary fights, these were necessary battles. There will always be someone out there who wants to destabilize our party, but I think our party has learned that holding together we shall survive. And I've made it very clear, if somebody gets tired of serving in a political party that was in government, now it's in opposition, and they cannot adjust, we don't blame them when they seek for leave to find maybe a party that is in government. But we would like for people to be strong, to be disciplined, to be principled. That yes, today you are in opposition, you've got to live with it. You've got to understand how to survive in the jungle of the opposition. And you can't always want to jump back to where you were. Those people in government now, they were also for 10 years in the opposition. Allow them also to provide the leadership they promised us. But for me, I think the concentration should be to realize that we are not where we were before. There's a reduction in the fights that we were involved in, because now we are settling down. And this is what I prayed for, and I think it's coming now. And we can only get stronger as a result of where we are today.
The opposition in Zambia are not united. What is giving rise to this fragmentation and disunity? You seem to have been sizing each other up and shadowboxing, especially with the UPND. Do you have an axe to grind with them as a result of what I can term as political osmosis, which your party has suffered and seem to have benefited the UPND?
Firstly, we start political parties not to become a carbon copy of the next opposition party. MMD was started as a democratic movement to bring democracy to this country. UPND also started on a totally different basis. PF started on a totally different basis. So we did not start these political parties to become one political party. Otherwise, we should not have been forming those political parties. So firstly, there is no obligation that these political parties must be united, and according to Hermit, being united means that we all become one and agree on everything. Absolutely not. We agree with UPND on several matters. For instance, matters of the Constitution. We agree on that matter, that this government needs to give us the Constitution as they promised. We agree on the fact that the Public Order Act, for instance, is being abused by the Patriotic Front. We agree, for instance, that the cost of living in this country has risen because of the mismanagement of the Patriotic Front of many areas of our economy, including especially agriculture. We agree on those things. And wherever we need to compare notes and rally together, we do that all the time. But we are not one political party. I, for one, would like to say that I don't see any value in UPND and MMD being at each other's throat. That is why you have not seen me or heard me push this forward. But I think MMD was at a place where we had to defend ourselves when we were brutally attacked by the UPND, for instance. And I tell you, MMD has got people that can defend not only our policies, but our positions, but also our very existence and space in politics. So if somebody tries to speak down to us, we have got answers. We are going to talk. We are going to speak for ourselves. And I think that if there's something God has graced MMD with, is people who have got the capacity and the ability to defend themselves. So I hope that our colleagues will concentrate on why they exist, and that is to provide checks and balances to the government, and not to continue to demean other political parties. I think Zambians don't want that. So I think that when you talk about people moving from MMD, I don't know which people you talk about. You know what happens in Zambian politics, which I've refused to participate in, because I came into politics to change them, is to parade people who today say they want to join my party because we have given them money and we want to make political gain. In whose interest is that? Who has left? If you count the people that are really prominent that have left MMD to go to either PF or UPND, they are very minimal compared to people that left UPND, for instance, to come to MMD many years ago and over time. Also, there are very few compared to people who left MMD before I became president. There are less now. Look at how dynamic this is. There were 7 presidential candidates when I ran for the party presidency, 7 including myself. I won the presidency, and the people gave us 3 months that there will be 7 camps that will be formed and MMD will be destroyed. This is 2 years later. Not one of those 7 candidates has resigned from the party. They may not be as active as they should be, but they're still in MMD. During the Chiluba days, the Mulembas left, the Nkumbulas left, the Akashambat was left, all the big wigs, the Kasondes left. But my colleagues are still here. So which hemorrhaging are they talking about? We've got Mr. Kenishas Banda, who was our chairman for health, who was moved to become vice president of a political party. We can only be proud that somebody who is so low in our structures was actually being looked at as a potential vice president. So for me as MMD leader, I feel, man, I've got stuff going on in my party. Now they've ended up with the vice president that we have provided for them. That's good. We have the chairman of UPND. He's also our former member, Mrs. Nalumango. Okay. So when you see that people have looked to MMD to supply their own lack, so much more to learn that uko vifumine kuri ifingi yo kufumine kuri kwa fuma bakanisha Banda na banalumango ifingi ifya palabaria fichiri muri amwe mu MMD. So that's why today we would form government at any time, and when we form government we will not miss a heartbeat. We'll form it, and I'll form cabinet without spending 1 month, because we have people that can perform, people that can work. And watch this, when we form government, it will not take me long to form government, because we have the people. We have the people that can run this government.
There have been demands for an extraordinary convention to put an end to the intra-party pooling and tagging within your party. These demands are valid in your view, and will the party see an end to these divisive squabbles?
Well, listen, a national convention does not exist to end squabbles. The National Convention is a process of our democracy. And I want to put it on record that MMD in this country is the only political party with a legitimately elected president by the convention. You are going to find out that a lot of presidents have never had a convention, and you are going to find that PF itself, the last convention they had after 10 years, was just for the president to declare himself president. There are others whose mandates have expired. So to look at MMD, to say let's go back to the convention, yes, we love conventions as MMD, but we are not addicted to them, that every weekend we have one, another weekend we have one, so that we can satisfy Hermit's desires. No, this is a process that after 5 years, Nevers is president for 5 years, after 5 years we go to the convention. The members want him back, he wins it. If the members said no, Nevers rest, I rest. After another 5 years, somebody comes on. That's the process. You can't short-circuit that. If there's any weakness in MMD and you're a true member of MMD, you will do everything possible to strengthen those areas, not to say let's go to a convention which you yourself has no control over at all. And so I think that I want to make it clear that a convention, none of us is scared of a convention. I'm a product of a convention. How can I be scared of it? I'm a product. They told me I would never win an election, and I won the election at a convention. So to me, a convention is a process through which MMD legitimizes itself before the Zambian people and before the international community. Somebody told me there are only two democratic parties in Southern Africa, and that is ANC and MMD. Okay. And they have a reason for classifying us as the only two. Because of the way we manage ourselves. If this party was mine and I was a dictator, you think all this nonsense that I've experienced would have happened? No. All I would have done, I would have dissolved the whole NEC, and I would have dissolved all the provinces, I would have dissolved all the districts, I would have dissolved everything and put in people that will support me. That's what other political parties do. That is why there is no talk of a convention in other places, because if they talk, they'll be dealt with immediately. But our party, we talk. We have to go to a convention. So I'm proud to be a president of a political party that has got a system of democracy and a system that works.
Come 2016, and I've heard you saying your party, the MMD, will give the ruling party, PF, a good run for their money. On what basis do you conclude?
Firstly, I think MMD statistically to win the election makes a lot of sense for the MMD. It's easier for MMD to win the next election than any other political party. I think that I'm happy that the squabbles, the apparent squabbles, were done in the first part of my being in government, which I expected. I mean, being in leadership of the party, which I expected, because the party was disillusioned after the loss. I was not here when we lost the election. So I inherited a very heavy political party with tears and pain and anguish. And my role, if I've ever been a pastor, has been to make sure that I wipe away the tears, but at the same time try to inspire people to stay on and to stay strong. People ran away and some of them came back. So looking at what we have gone through as a political party, the pain we have gone through, the price we have paid, it gives me great confidence that MMD is extremely strong to win the next election, because by the time the election comes, we would have been tested from all angles. Not only the party, but even the president would have been tested. I'm tested every day. I'm tested every day. People would fight that MMD must not continue, MMD must be cannibalized, and MMD has just refused to die. MMD has just refused to die, because the president has also refused to die. We are marching forward, and victory is guaranteed, because we are getting stronger, we are getting more united, and the people that don't feel they're part of us, they are falling off. And new people also are joining us that feel that MMD provides the best alternative, and they would like the democracy we enjoy inside our party to be enjoyed in the rest of the country.
As we come to the end of the program, what are your reflections as a man of God and a politician as Zambia turns 50 this year?
I think we need to introspect. I have to be honest that we are not where we used to be, but we are not where we should be yet. And so I'm very happy with the strides that we have made in the last 50 years. Unfortunately, very little has been done politically to improve politics. And I am proposing that over the years we have changed governments, but I propose that now time has come for us to change politics. And so I hope that moving forward beyond the 50 years, we can see more godly men and women participate in the process of government, so that morality and integrity can become part of the outfit of Zambian politics. I think that compared to other nations, we have enjoyed more peace, relative development, relative freedom of expression, and to that degree, when we compare ourselves to others, we are thankful to God that He has kept us together as a nation. We are thankful to God that there is not a single Zambian today who is in a refugee camp on the basis of fleeing from this country. Zambians are not present in refugee camps, and we should not take that for granted. It's a blessing from God. And in the last 50 years, if we've done anything right, is to tolerate each other, to accommodate one another, to be a Christian people, to fear God, and to allow our differences not to divide us, but to bring us together.
Dr. Mumba, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate.
Thank you very much. And to all those that have joined us today, I wish you God's richest blessing in this Jubilee year. Let's look beyond these 50 years to a better, stronger, and more united country. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Off the Cuff with me, Hermit. Hachilonde. For contributions and comments, you can please call 0977 333337, 0955 374 000, and 0966 755 333. Join me again next week on Wednesday, same time, same place. For now, it's bye-bye.